Prop 64, rotten to the core, we still deserve better. We must demand more. Prop 64 is possibly the worst piece of legislation I've ever read. The fact that it passed in California breaks my heart and boggles my mind a little bit. But I know we can use it as a teaching moment. I know we can use this. California losing the #1 commodity on the planet, the #1 brand on the planet, it's California cannabis. And we had the door open in such a unique libertarian kind of way for 20 years with Prop 215 that we have swung to the other extreme of literally having the worst piece of legislation in California. So we are in the States. So we are at the United States Cannabis Coalition dedicated to teaching about Prop 64 and what not to do with legalization, and challenging Prop 64 in the courts and in the court of public opinion, and seeing what we can do to reverse the worst aspects and the monopolistic nature of Prop 64. I reflect back on the year 2008 when I did a segment with MSNBC called Can Pot Cure the Economy? And it became a breakthrough hit as far as the news story goes. And I postulated there for one of the first times in public media I know of that hemp wasn't the new billion-dollar crop, as Popular Mechanics called it in 1937, possibly sparking its original prohibition. I coined it the new trillion-dollar crop, as Richard Davis had taught me, was a true and honest potential for cannabis in the state of California alone. Because we talk a lot about, and there's a lot of media the last 10, 15 years about the multi-billion-dollar industry of medical marijuana centered out of Northern and Southern California. And that may be $15 or $20 billion a year in medical marijuana, which seems an awful exciting industry. Yet, we have predictions that it could be 5 to 10, perhaps 20 times larger with industrial hemp out of the Central Valley. So we're looking at $1 trillion, possibly $2 trillion a year in raw resources we can draw out of the Central Valley, which starts making it look a little bit more like Saudi Arabia than the normal farming stretch here in America. We have infinite potential with food, fuel, fiber, and medicine. And what we know about 3D printing and hemp plastics right now will change the world in many ways. And if California can plant itself in the middle of that, we're destined for a better century ahead than we had in the last. Hemp Hemp Hooray, keep up the fight. It's not over yet, but we're close. Hello, it's Patrick Moore here with California Hope and the United States Cannabis Coalition. I just wanted to share some reflections on the Nexus Earth Conference in Aspen, Colorado in October of 2017, last year. I went there hoping to spend a little bit of time with my mentors and people I've worked for and side by side through the years, Dennis Kucinich and Dr. Ron Paul, and I was blessed to be able to spend some time with both of them. I was able to let him know about the work I was doing with the United States Cannabis Coalition and Roger Stone, and I found them both to be extremely excited and encouraging about that work and that direction that we were going. And I expected that from Dr. Ron Paul, but it was certainly nice to hear it. And I was somewhat surprised and impressed and truly inspired by Dennis Kucinich, the head of the Progressive Caucus for the Democratic Party for nearly 2 decades. Embracing the reaching across the aisle and being work with people from all aspects of our political circle to make valuable changes and to bring about the end of the drug war, or at least the end of the war against cannabis. It's okay to work with dynamic groups, and it's been the focus of the United States Cannabis Coalition is bring together. It's nonpartisan. It's really about gathering together behind the right idea of legalization done right. And I'm finding support on all aspects, despite a few never-Trumpers who seem to be offended or intimidated by our successes. Across the political circle, we're finding a lot of support. And again, I just want to thank America and thank everybody for that. And my promise and my dedication is to have this resolved within the next 3 years in a way that everybody can be proud of and happy with. So keep up the good fight. Hemp Hemp Hooray. Hemp can save the day. That's why we do what we do, because weed can save you.
We'd like to thank Karoon USA for being pioneers in the hemp pasta business. Thank you for providing us with this hemp pasta to help and share with the people of the world that we can not only wear hemp, but we can eat hemp. This is Jeanette Perez reporting from Los Angeles, California, and today we're going to talk about hemp. Why isn't hemp legal in California? If California passed the Legalization Act in November of 2016, why aren't we growing hemp? Well, the simple answer is that we didn't actually legalize growing hemp in California. We did allow a few universities to do a little bit of research on it, but the everyday mom and pop, grandmother and grandfather, aunt and uncle cannot grow hemp for their own purposes. And so we need to change this. One individual is working on changing this. Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, introduced a bill to legalize industrial hemp by taking it off the Controlled Substances Act. Very important. It's the reason that it's made it illegal to grow hemp in the first place. And so by taking it off the Controlled Substances Act, it will allow states the liberty, the protection, the ease to grow hemp and not fear the feds coming in to blowtorch the fields or to raid the farmers. So stay tuned for what is coming up on that bill. Make sure you voice your senators your concern and whether you want them to vote for the bill. Read it in its totality, exercise your due diligence, and have hemp come to your state by making sure that your legislature and the citizens of your state are aware that hemp has over 50,000 uses: food, fuel, fiber, medicine, and so much more. Bring it home so we can get off of petroleum. We can start using it as a food source. We can start building our homes from it. There's so much that we can do. Thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you again. Hemp Hemp Hooray.
Patrick Moore here, coming from the West Coast. Wanted to share with you some good news about cannabis legalization. We're getting close. People keep asking, what can I do? This is the time to educate yourself, your community leaders about the details of legalization. Let them know why descheduling is more important than rescheduling, and let them know why setting up a structure that offers fair and equal access to everybody is more important than the safety created by monopolizations or oligopoly taking over the world cannabis movement. These are the details. It has not been if or when we legalize for probably 20 years. It's been 100% about how we legalize. And that's the job of the legalization movement today, is no longer to push for it, but to push for a type of it we can be proud of. And the devil is in the details, as we're finding out here with Prop 64 in California, and as most of the states that have gone through legalization in a rushed sort of way are finding out that these things aren't as easy to fix later as they kept saying they would be. So the idea is to go in, demand what we want, demand fair and equal access, and nothing less. And that fight is worth it because it's going to affect us for generations to come. So keep up the good fight, stand strong, demand what we deserve, and we will change the world. We'll save it as Jack Hare promised. Hemp Hemp Hooray. Patrick Moore here in West Coast, California. Wanted to share some information about the United States Cannabis Coalition. I would like to personally thank Roger Stone for involving me in this coalition. I've been inspired and touched by the dedication and inspiration of many of the people involved. Been working closely with Tyler Nixon and really trying to develop a strategy for legalization that makes the most sense for folks here in America. And I think we're really zeroing in on the principles within the Jack Hare initiative that can play out on a federal level: the limiting the taxes, the limiting the licensing fees. The principles of fair and equal access make sense to those in power today. And I think we have a foothold that, if we don't blow it, could offer us a better type of legalization than anything we've even thought about in the last 30 or 40 or 50 years. When we actually get into the details of legalization, the subtle differences are going to make all the difference in the world. So we must demand a reasonable model. This cannot be monopolized or taken over by an oligopoly because cannabis was once a dangerous narcotic. We have to be able to utilize this in an equitable way with a free market system. Let the best hemp farmers survive, and those who can't hack it, let them, find a second job. But to say we're only going to let a few hundred or a few thousand people control this industry would be as big a mistake as what we did with petroleum. Not as damaging to the environment, perhaps, but as damaging to our society and our economic survival as a culture. So please, please Don't give up. I know it looks like we're at the 95-yard line. It's a foregone conclusion. We're going to legalize. But that word can mean legal lies. And there's a lot of legal lies in the movement today trying to get us what we think is access to cannabis, and is going to turn out to be the destruction of the cannabis community and this whole movement that we've come to love and honor. So please, stand your ground. Don't give up. Do what you can, and we'll save the planet. Give thanks.